Let's welcome Kathy Holly and Spotlight.
Hi, everybody. Tonight I have a wonderful show planned. I have two great guests. First of all, Barbara Norman, who is an author of a children's book, Sweetie Petey Finds a Friend. And she's also an educator. And over here, I have Jeannie Mecorney, who did all the illustrations in the book. And you're an artist. And you also have comics. You're known as a comic artist.
Yes, yes.
This is wonderful. I'm going to start, all right, with Barbara. Sweetie Petey Finds a Friend. Let's show the cover of the book. We have a picture of it. Oh, there it is with your wonderful bunny rabbit, Jeannie, that you came up with. That is fantastic. Well, Barbara, Sweetie Petey Finds a Friend is obviously about a rabbit.
Yes.
Why is it a rabbit instead of maybe a dog or a cat?
I want to help people understand what wonderful pets rabbits can be.
Do you have rabbits?
I have 2 rabbits at this time.
Oh, my gosh.
I've had others in the past, but I find that people don't understand them, and often they'll just want to stick them in a cage in the backyard or in a room somewhere, and these are sensitive, emotional, intelligent creatures.
Well, see, this is good because when I first saw the title, I thought, Sweetie Petey Finds a Friend. Sweetie Petey must have been lonely. But before we go on about the story for the children, I would love to show, we have a picture of your rabbits. You with your rabbits. Can we get that up on the screen? And then also, I have oh, there you are with your rabbits. These are darling rabbits, and they're brown and gray.
Yes.
One's brown, one is gray. Everyone, I think, thinks of rabbits being white. And the next photo we have is of you reading the book in the bookstore at Nancyland, which is right here in Lindemar. There you are. Is that the bookstore?
That's Nancy.
Oh, that's great. That's a wonderful photo. And you have one of your rabbits with you.
Yes.
Oh, I love that. That's great. And then we have another picture of you reading at Barnes & Noble. There it is. Oh, look at how beautifully that's set up to 2 children. And they must have enjoyed the story.
They did. There were more children, but they were the ones that got the bench.
Oh, I love it. And so you are going to tell us that rabbits need company and they get lonely. Is that right?
Well, if you think about it, they're born in a large group of other rabbits. So to take them away and keep them isolated, you know, some of them are awake all night long, and if the family's asleep, they're lonely.
There you go. And you have rabbits, so you know this. And they have their special little hutch or place.
They have a room in the house dedicated.
A room. They've rented a room in your house? That's really amazing. You are really a wonderful rabbit person. Well, the story is charming. Oh, and I love this. If you buy a book at the reading of the book, right, at a book, when you're reading it at a bookstore, you give away these charming little rabbit pens. And maybe we don't have a close-up of this, but they have 2 ears. And one ear, you put it down as one color, and the other ear is another color.
Yes.
All right. But let's get on with the book because you're going to read a few pages from the book. Is that
Thank
correct?
you.
And you open the book, and there's, what page is that previous to what you're going to read? What does that page say?
It's really beautiful. It's something Jeannie came up with. It says, this book is dedicated to all our sweet animal friends. So whether you have hamsters or whatever.
Great.
So I'm just going to select a few pages.
All right. Great. Take it away.
In some ways, Petey was like every bunny. He liked to run fast and jump, the way bunnies do. He was curious and liked to find new places to explore, the way bunnies do. He loved to chew on carrots and hop through the garden, the way bunnies do.
Ah, that's wonderful. Look at those, the illustrations. And we already learned a little bit about a bunny and what he loves to do. These are all bunnies.
But Petey was different in a very special way.
Oh.
He could talk to Bobby, the child who took care of him. They understood each other perfectly. They were best friends.
Get another wonderful illustration. Great.
Bobby often prepared snacks for Petey from some of the dandelions and lettuce growing in the yard.
Oh, they love that?
Petey liked to nibble on these while he and Bobby were collecting them. Sometimes he ate too many. Greedy Petey.
Greedy Petey. But you can let the rabbit go into the yard because they like greens. Already learned something else, dandelions. That's interesting.
One day, Bobby saw Petey looking out the window for a very long time, and Bobby heard Petey make a long sigh.
Lonely. Oh, but there's a happy ending.
Bobby asked, "What's wrong, Petey?" "I don't feel like eating or playing." "Bobby, why am I so sad?" The two friends talked about what could be bothering Petey, and then Bobby asked, "Do you think you would like a bunny friend?"
There it is.
And
What
this is Jeannie's aunt's couch, I think.
My grandmother.
Your grandmother's couch.
a great illustration.
Petey's ears stood way up high. "Yes, I think I do. That's what's missing. I need a bunny friend."
Look at those ears. Oh, that is a great character, Sweetie Petey.
So, of course, they go on the quest to find a friend. They go to adoption centers.
Those are
adoption fairs.
popular. Yeah, that's yeah, definitely.
Well, in California, you cannot buy a dog, a cat, or a rabbit in a store.
That changed.
You have to go to a
then.
breeder or to a rescue.
All right, this is interesting.
So eventually, Petey finds a friend. Petey recognized his friend right away, and his heart grew full. Their noses touched. He had found his friend.
Oh, rabbits communicate with their noses then.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so sweet. Noses. All right.
"Okay, my name is Petey," he said. "What's yours?" "I'm Poppy." She lowered her head to the floor. Poppy was a little shy. Her ears were floppy.
Floppy Poppy. The rhyming words are great too. It's just wonderful.
Children like that.
Very much so.
And then when they make the arrangements to go home and they get into the house, Poppy said quietly to Petey, "Thank you for inviting me to live here."
And now there are two rabbits.
Yeah.
Two rabbits. All right.
And Poppy snuggled close to Bobby as if to say, "Thank you for bringing me home. I know I will be very happy here."
Two are better than one.
And now Petey, Poppy, and Bobby play in the yard, make treats, take naps, and read together. No longer is Petey a lonely bunny. Now Petey is a sunny bunny.
Sunny bunny. And many times we hear the expression funny bunny, but sunny bunny is great. Well, Barbara, that is great. Will you tell everybody there's something in the back of the book which is wonderful? You have a whole
yes.
page dedicated to caring.
This is called Caring for Your Rabbits, Do's and Don'ts. And it's approved by Petey and Poppy's vet, and I give her credit.
Wonderful. Definitely.
It's a simple list. There's more to learn, but I do give a website in here that is full of everything to feed them, how to take care of them, finding the right vets for them.
That's so important out there, to take care of your pet correctly and to know what to do, right?
Yes.
Especially, at Easter time when sometimes people get little chicks and they think, oh, not so easy to
And
take
rabbits.
care of. And rabbits. And you can't do that. You have to know what you're doing.
Rabbits
Right.
will live 10, 12 years or more. So it's a commitment like getting a dog.
Very important. That's wonderful to know.
I also make donations to rabbit rescues from sales from the books.
Oh, good. This is great. It's a wonderful cause. Wonderful cause. And what about that last page? It says something about why did you write this book?
Yes. We talked about it a little bit already. I want people to understand that rabbits are physically fragile, emotionally sensitive, they're intelligent, they're curious, and they have very specific needs. They have a digestive system that's unique to them. That's why they need a rabbit vet. And what really spurred me on was that throughout my life I've had different kinds of pets. And I have felt this, what I call a soulful communication with an animal that is unique to the animal with the human. It's unlike our friendships and our family. It's a unique communication. And I was looking for a word to use for that in English, and I couldn't find it. So I asked a Lakota Indian friend if their language has a word for that, and she said yes.
And what is it?
I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing it right. It's something like Tushihila, and it means you live in my heart.
Oh, beautiful.
So when I look at my pets into their eyes and they're looking back at me, that's how I feel.
They look into your heart, and you look into their heart.
Yeah.
How charming that is. Now, I know there are people probably asking, or maybe thinking, I have a book I would love to write, a children's book, a children's story. And I always thought I would like to write one about my daughter getting her first kitty cat. But anyway, first of all, tell us, how do you get the book published? Will you tell us your story? How did this happen? How did it come about?
So my book is self-published. I had to have a title. Adopt a Pet Publishing is the title that I chose because I want to focus on adopt, don't shop.
Great.
Adopt. I have a friend who adopts miniature donkeys. There's just, a world of animal adoption possibilities. So I met through the internet a woman who helps people self-publish. It's a long process. You have to upload this. There are all kinds of details that I was not able to do
But
figure out myself.
On the internet you found her?
I found her through networking.
Through networking, all right. And what is her name?
Her name is Lisa Ellis, Leesa Ellis. Her company is 3fernsbooks.com. She is a
Very
dream to work
interesting.
with. Endless patience.
Where does she reside?
New Zealand.
Oh, New Zealand. So definitely through the internet.
Right.
But that's wonderful. So she helped you self-publish.
Yes.
So it is possible. Does this, or I'd have to tell you, you had to put the book into print. And then, of course, you worked with Jeannie on the illustrations, which that's a collaboration.
Oh,
in itself.
yes.
Now, Jeannie, you're local.
Yes, Pacifica.
How did you both meet?
Oh, I went into an art gallery. Well, I had been looking for months. And people would say, I don't want to do that much work. So I went into an art gallery and spoke with one of the resident artists. And she said, I know someone who might be interested.
Really?
So Jeannie and I talked, and then when we decided to meet and sign a contract, I had her come to my house so she could see the rabbits, see their room, hold them, watch them hopping around, get a sense of their personalities.
How
And
wonderful.
She really did capture them.
Well, I don't know how you got those ears for Petey, but they really have personality. You chose a great character, I think, to illustrate. We should find out a little bit more about you because you have an interesting life. Tell us a little bit about your background as an illustrator. You always wanted to be
Right,
an artist.
I did. Since I was 5 years old, I was drawing. And but before I do that, I just wanted to say, finding Barbara and Barbara finding me, it's been such a wonderful collaboration. It really has. It's been really wonderful to bring the story to life that way. And it was essential to see those bunnies. It really was.
Oh, good.
And Barbara's bunnies have the floppy ears,
That's
like
right.
Poppy.
I've seen them.
But when I
Floppy
just
Poppy.
couldn't resist those tall ears.
Because that's how happy he was to find
Yes.
a friend, right?
Exactly.
It's a darling depiction of a bunny.
Yeah.
And so you had this career in mind, and you said you
Yes.
worked already in television?
Yes,
Tell me.
actually, my career was as a graphic designer and a television designer, and I worked for 10 years in educational television at Cal State Sacramento. They have a number of television studios. It was back in the day when they had distance learning. It was called distance learning. And I helped the professors by getting some graphics into their lectures so that they weren't just a talking head.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Yes.
See, graphics, yes, would
Yes.
get everyone's attention. Well, now I want to delve a little bit into this other part of your life. Well, you were talking about in your childhood, you had a very kind of disruptive and dysfunctional.
Dysfunctional with a capital D.
And
I
you
would
have
say.
taken your art and your illustration and you have developed what you call your memoir, right?
Yes. Yes.
All right. Let's take a look at a video which introduces your memoir about your childhood
Yes.
and the dysfunction.
I finished a draft of my graphic memoir. It is a story of growing up in the 1950s with a father diagnosed with paranoid schizophrenia and a codependent mother. I call it my nuclear family. Family life was chaotic and frightening. I have 3 siblings, and all 4 of us played our dysfunctional roles. Family trauma and adverse childhood experiences create toxic environments, affecting otherwise healthy children throughout their lives. If you know what it's like growing up in crazy land, I hope this book shows you you're not alone. For those who do not know, let me show you.
Wonderful. Oh my goodness, that leaves me. I'm just thinking this is something else. Again, this is your graphic memoir. And why
Yes.
don't you hold up? We've seen a
Oh,
little bit of it.
yes,
This is
yes.
the actual, a portion of it?
Yes, it's a portion of it. It's part of an anthology. I have a group of comics that I am part of, and they put anthologies together. And this was one of the anthologies, just a few pages of it. But I take these zines to comic fests and sell them. A zine is a multiple page.
Show, that's
Kind of
great.
a little booklet from one piece of paper.
You hold one end and I'll
Yes.
hold the other.
Yes.
So here's an example.
Yes.
Great. And now talk a little bit about, I mean, this is really marvelous, but what you also do with this energy and your art, you take it and you developed comics.
Yes.
What do you call
yes.
it? Chicken scratch?
I call it chicken scratch.
Well, let's take a look.
Yes.
Well, I also have, I think, stills of a few of these. First of all, you're resilient, I called it. And I think that's one of, there we go.
Oh, yes, yes, yes.
There's the chicken.
My comics are a single panel, and it's always me, and then my chicken. And when I'm at comic fests or wherever I am, people ask me, why chickens?
Yes, why chicken? We can show some others, by the way, if we have them up there on the screen.
Yes.
I think we had some stills, yeah.
Yes,
There
this
we
is
go.
Clucker Airways, and this is When Chickens Fly, which is
Oh,
kind
that's
of
great.
Yeah,
When pigs fly, when chickens
and
fly.
when chickens fly, exactly. And this is the complimentary lunch. Every part of the table is complimenting me. The character there. I really, one of them says, I really admire the way you handled the problem with the maitre d'. I think that's the wine glass that's talking to her. So that's a complimentary lunch.
Oh, that's great.
So it's many times a play on words. But
Yes.
people have asked, and my whole life I've had chickens in my head. And I just am having so much fun putting out these comics, and they're keeping me sane while I draw my memoir, because it is a very serious thing to me. I'm really interested in demystifying mental illness, for one thing.
Yes, tell us about that, how you also have spoken recently at a conference, and I think it was
Yes.
called the NAMI Convention. What does
Yes.
NAMI stand for?
It stands for the National Alliance of of mental illness. And their whole reason for being, they're kind of the American Heart Association for mental illness, and their mission is to destigmatize mental illness and to make it something where it isn't something to be ashamed of.
And did your father ever get over or improve in his life with the schizophrenia?
In my book, I show that when I was 19, I told him I never wanted to see him again because of all of the trouble, and it's been a difficult thing because I haven't seen him since I was 19, and he died in 1988, and so it's been a long time working through the whole story.
Now, when you talk about the book you've written, if we access your website, which is Mecorney.com, is that how people can find out more information about how to get your book?
Yes.
And also, where do you show Chicken Scratch? On your website?
I do have links for my website, which is Mecorney.
And that's on Mecorney.com. You have links, because I did go to. There it is on the screen. That's great. So people can see your comics and the chickens.
Yes, and the chickens are Instagram and some of the socials, but also at seesawcomics.org, and that's the group of comics that I'm a part of, and we really support each other with our projects.
Well, that's great. And now, when you spoke at the conference about mental illness, was that helpful to you personally and to other people?
Oh yes, it was so helpful. Coming to grips with what happened in my childhood has been a long journey, and it's taken a while for me to write this memoir. And I'm getting close to the end. And what I spoke about at the conference was that we could all be artists and we can all tell our stories. And I showed people how to create a zine. So everybody got a piece of paper and folded it. And I brought crayons.
Oh, great.
And afterwards, people came up, and I was actually gifted five of their efforts. And
how wonderful!
Yes, and they are just heartfelt. One of them was just, it ended with her saying, "Thank you for seeing me."
Oh, how wonderful!
It just is when we share our stories.
And this is called a graphic memoir.
Yes, graphic.
So the graphics are the pictures that go in. And do you find that you don't have to be a great artist who takes art lessons? You can do, I call it chicken scratch. I'm sorry, I can't do that because you have comics that are chicken scratch. But when you see straight lines and then some silliness.
Yes.
But that's, in a way, an illustration.
Yes,
right?
and I taught at Kenyatta College, and I've told all of my students that they are all artists. I mean, they say I'm not an artist, and I say, did you dress yourself? Did you put makeup on?
Oh,
yes.
Very interesting.
Did you choose your clothes?
I already feel better.
Yes,
Thank
absolutely.
you. This is great, Jeannie.
In all of us. It's innate in all of us.
It's innate, and it's part of us. Right?
Yes, and it's just practice. If you want to learn how to draw something, it's just practice. It's the same. You can't get on a bicycle for the first time and ride it properly. It's the same with
it's the same with, and then you collaborating with Barbara.
Oh yes,
on this book. I mean, this is just the most wonderful. Was this? I have to ask Barbara too. Probably some people are thinking, well, the cost of publishing a book like this, you have to have prints made.
Yes.
And you have hard copies.
And soft copies.
And now everybody can go to Amazon, by the way,
Amazon,
and buy the book.
Barnes & Noble, independent books.
Yes, my storage is
Florey's Book Company in Pacifica had a reading for me, and they sell the book.
And when's your next one?
September 7th at the Half Moon Bay Library.
Half Moon Bay Library, everybody.
And Cindy at Inkspell Books in Half Moon Bay sells it. So any bookseller can order it.
And didn't you read it at school at Good Shepherd, where you have subbed and taught, as I also taught music there? But I think that would be wonderful. What was the reaction?
It's interesting, the oldest group, the fourth graders, had the best reaction. When I finished, they asked so many questions. Why
Really?
is the child named Bobby? Why is this? Why did you do that? How come they didn't? I mean, they really listened. And those are like 8-year-olds. So
That's right.
I think that's a good age group. You know.
Did you read to kindergartners?
No, but I gave them a book.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Right.
Yeah. So, I mean, I guess fourth graders, they would be more inquisitive and they want to learn about how to take care of a rabbit, maybe. That's important.
That's my hope.
Yes. And you're going to be doing many more book reads, hopefully.
Hopefully, yes.
Well, tell me about the cost. I got off subject here because now you ordered these pens, which are adorable. Rabbit pens, everybody. If you go to a book signing, and Barbara, if you buy a book, Barbara gives you a pen.
Sure.
Right? A rabbit pen.
Everybody who comes gets a sticker. Anyone who buys a book gets a pen or another gift that they want.
And we have to remind everyone, you are living in what part of the peninsula here?
El Granada.
El Granada, which is just right next door.
Yes.
And again, you don't have a website.
It's in creation. It's
All right.
adoptapetpublishing.com. And there's going to be a weekly blog and information
wonderful.
about adoptions.
So that's coming up.
And
That's
hopefully
great.
other people who write stories about pet adoptions will want to be published.
Yes. And if anybody out there in TV land would like to be on my show or has questions about any of the shows, and if you are an author or an illustrator or a musician, an actress, if you're a director, please contact me, kathyholly.com. And I also perform live. Yeah, it's my chance now to sell, right? I sell music live. So internationally, I've had an international career in music, and it's been fun. But I do perform locally in San Francisco, and have performed down here too at Grape in the Fog. Yeah, that's a great place. It
Yes.
really is great. And we're looking forward to seeing more of Barbara and Jeannie. Do you ever do the book signings together?
Oh, we do.
We have done
Good.
two.
Oh, all right. Well, this is even
Yes,
more
they're so much fun.
more tempting. So definitely the library in Half Moon Bay, September 7th. What day of the week? is that?
Saturday.
Saturday. All right. Well, everybody, thank you so much for
Thank
being on
you.
the show. It's almost time to say goodbye.
Thank you for inviting
Everything
us.
just
Yes.
woo.
You're such a gracious host.
Thank
Yes,
you. Well,
you are.
thank you for doing your wonderful book. And I love the illustration of Petey. All I can think of is that rabbit has the longest ears. Wave goodbye, everybody. We'll see you next time on my
Hey
next show.
mambo, mambo Italiano. Hey mambo, mambo Italiano. Go, 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 you mixed up Siciliano. Hung your Genovese to the mambo like a crazy with a hey mambo. Don't want a tarantella, hey mambo. No more a mozzarella, hey mambo. Mambo Italiano. Try an enchilada with the fish bacalao, then a